Hi everyone, I'm Nahal Norouzi. I'm going to present our work on behalf of my co-authors, which is a systematic literature review of embodied augmented reality agents in head-mounted display environments. To begin with the motivation of our work, we know that there has been a considerable amount of contribution looking at the development and understanding of embodied agents. For instance, looking at the influences of different appearances in a given context, agents' ability to convey emotions, maintaining eye contact, and eventually utilizing such agents for specific applications such as job training simulation. One of the common points about a good number, but not all of these contributions, is that they usually utilize static setups such as TV, desktop, or projection-based environments. And parallel to this line of research, we know that there has been immense advances in HMD technology, and head-mounted displays have become more robust and accessible over the years. So utilizing HMD technology to visualize embodied agents would allow us to bring these agents out of the boundaries of, let's say, a computer display and bringing them to our environment, and this can potentially make them more dynamic. In our work, we are specifically interested in utilizing AR HMD technology for visualization of embodied agents, and we speculated that because these agents are going to be rooted in our physical environment, there are going to be specific considerations in terms of their development and how we interact with them. And to get an idea of what these considerations are and have been over the past 20 years, we decided to conduct a systematic literature review. And through our review, we wanted to provide answers for research questions. First, we wanted to know what are the primary research categories in this area. Second, we wanted to get an idea of what are the common roles and application areas for embodied agents. Third, we wanted to identify the evolution of utilized technology and get an idea of the different appearances agents were presented to users. And last, we wanted to identify research trends, emerging research trends, and also areas for future research. For our methodology, we adopted some of the steps of previous related surveys in augmented reality, such as work by Gerd and Kim et al., and also some of the core steps of the PRISMA method, which is devised for systematic literature reviews. I'm not going to go into the details of our methodology, exclusion criteria, and search terms, but the details are present in the paper. We started with 1,261 records, and to point out, we had to exclude a large number of papers, and one of the reasons we think this number is relatively large is partly because of some of our search terms, such as augmented reality and virtual characters, which are relatively general. So we saw papers that utilized these search terms in like mere passing or only in their reference sections. Because of that, we think larger number of papers were removed, and after the screening procedure, we were left with 50 papers, which we provided in-depth reviews on. For the in-depth review part, we wanted to come up with attributes to help us characterize the paper's contributions that would correspond to our research questions. So these attributes are fairly straightforward for instance, research question number 3. So we just tagged for HMD type and agent appearances. But for research question number 1 and 2, we started with an initial list of attributes based on previous literature on augmented reality, intelligent virtual agents, and also social presence. And then we refined this list after we reviewed the 50 papers in detail, and we're left with 5 items for research categories and 4 for application areas. To go over some of our high-level findings, starting with research question number 3, we wanted to tag for the embodied agent's appearance, and we were inspired by robotics literature because they found that the appearance of the agent can influence the nature of the relationship, for instance, in terms of aspects such as trust and comfort. As expected, the majority of the agents were humanoid, but we also saw examples of animal agents, robotic agents, and any agent that was a cartoon character or creature-like were tagged as other. Looking at the evolution of utilized technology, we saw that before 2016, majority of the setups were video see-through, but after 2016, which is the release year of Microsoft HoloLens 1, a majority of the setups were optical see-through, and most of them were actually Microsoft HoloLens 1. Going back to research question number 1, And starting with the first category, the visual representation category mainly covers work that looks at the influences of agents' embodiment compared to non-embodied interaction, looking at different agent types and the influence of agent size and also its visual realism. One of the reasons this category is important is that, for example, for embodiment, researchers have found that embodied interactions can influence the level of presence users experience for the better, and also influence how users perceive agents in terms of helpfulness and reliability. Next is the displays and interfaces category. Majority of the work in this category goes under the comparison of AR versus non-AR mediums. There were some other examples, for instance, looking at field of view restrictions or looking at the persistence of agents' influence after the HMD is taken off. The importance of this category lies in the fact that researchers have found that the way we perceive the agents depends on the medium, and the level of aspects such as level of engagement and sense of presence can also depend on the medium. Because of that, it's important to be able to identify the correct medium for a given context and application. Next, it's the physical virtual interactivity category. This category mainly focuses on the ability of agents to influence the physical world or be influenced by it. For instance, an agent being able to move a physical token, and also agents having physically coherent behaviors, such as having appropriate occlusions and walking through doors instead of walking through walls. The importance of this category lies in the fact that researchers have found that when agents behave coherently in the environment and can influence the physical surroundings and be influenced by it, it enhances users' sense of presence with these agents and also their perceptions of the agent's abilities. Next is the proxemics category. This category mainly focuses on the spatial relationship between users and agents. And this line of research is important because research results suggest that our behaviors when interacting are spatial. The way we maintain spatial relationships is different when we're interacting with virtual agents. Because of that, it's important to understand what these differences are and what are some similarities when we interact with virtual agents compared to real humans. And next is the behavior and traits category. This category mainly focuses on the variations of agents' verbal and non-verbal behavior, and also their ability to convey specific personality traits such as friendliness. This category is important because researchers have found that agents who are capable of conveying specific personality traits such as friendliness or can exhibit nonverbal behavior can influence the level of presence users experience with these agents and can influence users' objective behaviors in general. And going over our second research question, looking at intended or tested application areas, we found that majority of the agents go under the assistive and collaborative category, and there were less research on other areas such as training or healthcare. We think one of the reasons there is less research there might be because of limitations in technology at the time. And for instance, if you want to facilitate a larger group of people for a training scenario, it might be easier to use a spatial augmented reality setup or a projection-based environment compared to providing everyone with HMDs and synchronizing all those HMDs. Going over some of our emerging trends and future directions. First, I want to draw your attention to the potential relationship between increasing research on agents in assistive and collaborative roles and also increasing usage of commercial intelligent virtual assistants. So in this timeline, you can see the release year of some of these intelligent virtual assistants and also Microsoft HoloLens 1. And if we plot the papers looking at embodied agents in assistive and collaborative roles, we see that this number increases after the release of these technologies. And we observed some examples where embodied agents were directly compared to voice assistants or were given tasks that kind of like replicates interactions with voice assistants. And we think as voice assistants are going to become more and more popular, they're going to using AR technology to give them a body and looking at their the benefits of giving them the ability to convey nonverbal behavior has a lot of potential for future research. Next, I want to draw your attention to the potential relationship between physical virtual interactivity research category and also increasing usage of IoT-enabled devices. So we know that IoT-enabled devices are becoming more and more popular, as you can see in the plot on the bottom. And we saw a few examples that actually utilize IoT-enabled devices to increase the agent's physicality and give them more control over the physical environment. And we think and with positive findings. Because of that, we think there's a lot of potential in the nexus of AR attribute technology, embodied agents, and IoT devices. Next, I want to point out the potential of agents as companions. We know that in other domains such as robotics and intelligent virtual assistants in general, researchers have looked at the ability of such agents to occupy companionship roles. And we only saw a few examples in our pool of papers that kind of suggested this potential. And we think that as AR technology grows and becomes more robust and ergonomically friendly, there is a lot of potential for AR agents as companions, as they can be more flexible in their appearance and behaviors. Last, I want to point out the potential relationship between embodied AR agents, personality, and empathy, and also increasing research on agents in assistive and collaborative roles. So outside of the context of AR, there has been a lot of research looking at, for instance, embodied agents' personality, but less has been observed in embodied AR agents. And as previous research suggests that different mediums, our perception of agents are going to be different, can be different in different mediums, we think that it's important that as we are going to collaborate with these agents more and they are going to help us more in the future, it's important to understand the influences of their personality types and their nonverbal behavior. To conclude, we think, as you can see in this figure, that as both video see-through and optical see-through technology enhances, we are going to see more research looking at the embodiment of agents and their influences in general. And to summarize some of the future research directions, we think that other technologies such as IoT-enabled devices and commercial intelligent virtual assistants are going to influence the direction of research for embodied AR agents. We think that as these agents can be more dynamic and responsive to us in our environment, there's a lot of potential for them in companionship roles, assistive and collaborative roles. And last, we think there's a lot of opportunity for looking at the influences of these agents' personality, ability to convey empathy, and overall their nonverbal behavior. Thank you for your attention, and I'd be happy to hear any questions, comments, and feedback.